That was quick, wasn't it?
That was. Let me try it one more time.
You'll see that your life will just dramatically change. And now you're building a life around what really matters to your soul.
We all communicate with nature. It's a part of us.
Woohoo! Welcome everyone to Spirit Sessions of You of the Light. Come on in and get your smudging. Both Nancy and I are smudging everybody today. And it's true, we're coming together friendly and in love like this. And man, we're going to be listening to material that changes our lives. And so I look forward to all of you who are out there and ready to listen today. I have a guest host with me, our friend Nancy, who you all remember. Nancy is the cat magic woman. And if you need to know anything about cats, you set yourself up an appointment with Nancy, and Nancy will get to the deep Akashic roots of everything and bring it through for you. And today we have a guest named Andrea J. Walker, or Andrea. I forgot.
No, you got it right. It's Andrea.
Oh, good.
You had it right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good. That's my natural way. Okay, thank you. And we're going to be learning stuff about the gene codes today, you guys. Like this is real similar to what Katie does. What's that called again? The blueprint, the human design. And then this is another part of it. And so bring your notepads, come on in, and if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and like it, and get your tea or whatever you're drinking ready, and we're going to have a great show today. So welcome, Andrea. Welcome.
Thank you, Teresa. I am so happy to be here with you and Nancy. And I just love the energy that you have in this show. It's such an honor to be here, to be a channel to have this work come through and share some of it with all of you and with whoever's listening. And it's not an accident, right? So it's beautiful.
And Nancy and I had the greatest chance to meet you the other day, and it was beautiful. But it leads to my first question of what I always want to know about everybody is, what was your awakening journey like, and how did it get you to the fascinating stuff you do now?
Wow, it's been such a long journey, right? But I love that question, and I really trace it back to the beginning is probably, I mean, I was always as a child interested in novels that were about fantasy or magic or those kind of things, right? But if I trace it back to where it really kicked off was in my 20s, right after college. I was just by chance events, which is never chance, I found myself in Taos, New Mexico, and that place is so magical. And I think that being in that place with that massively powerful nature, that's where it started to open up. And I remember this moment sitting on the edge of, if you've ever been there, there's the Rio Grande Gorge, and it drops down 600 feet from the sides, and it's just magnificent. And I just remember sitting on this huge rock looking down 600 feet to this beautiful river and having this sense of the immensity of just the universe and my place in it. And that's really where it started. And then it went from there, long story short, astrology and exploration and reading lots of authors and on until here. So I could be talking for hours about that, but that's really where it started.
How exciting. So you followed your joy the whole way through, didn't you? Because the main question I get asked is, what really is my purpose? But there you were, you're following your joy.
I've always been interested in finding out what's kind of underneath the surface, right? What is the deeper meaning of why we're here? What is that? How do we understand kind of the bigger picture of what we're really doing here? That sort of non-physical realm, physical realm, all of that. How does that interact? How do we get information about that? How do we get a sense of meaning about what we're creating? And I've always felt like I wanted whatever work I did to be something that I felt like I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, if that makes sense.
Heck yeah. Why not,
You know?
huh?
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's a burden, right? Sometimes it's nice if you can, maybe the job isn't your metaphysical work, but it is very abundant. But that's never worked out for me that way. It's always been that the work has been my passion. I've had to make that choice over and over. And it's what a an honor and a privilege to be able to continue to pursue that. And I feel like with the Gene Keys, I've really landed, with all of the things I've done, all of the coaching, all of the knowledge, like I've really landed in, this is home. This is what I'm meant to be
Wow.
doing. So what
Oh,
a joy after all these years.
oh yeah. What a great feeling. And to be working from that place and meeting
Yeah.
each of your every one of your clients from that beautiful space. How beautiful.
Yeah, and it's amazing how there's been so many wonderful things over the years, but when you finally connect with the thing that you truly have traction with, and I talk about this, I really love working with other light workers, spiritual entrepreneurs who are looking to get that clarity. When you really find the vehicle that you're meant to be working in, it's like all of a sudden, you know how it is. The universe rises up to meet you and things show up. And I mean, here are you ladies, like out of nowhere, right? You just sent me a DM and I'm like, wow, they're amazing. So, and that happens all that's happened all along. And isn't that just the beautiful synchronicity of being in that harmonious alignment? How lucky are we?
I totally love this. To me, it's like we have so many layers of support here with each and every one of us, which when
Mhm.
you see all those layers, it's amazing in itself. But why? Because there's so much that we are actually here to do, or that we're
Yeah.
capable in, that we
Yes.
are yet stepping into now. So, what a
Yes.
fascinating time in human history, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And I know you have that same feeling of like it's been a long time coming and we've been here many times working towards it. And now there's like something really special happening. There's this kind of critical mass. So it's very exciting. And I also like to, I know people can get very, they can feel the heaviness of the time because we just know so much more about what's happening. And I always go back to, especially for women, like this is the thing that really gives me perspective. We have so much more freedom than we've ever had in history to have a voice, to have our work go out in the world, to be creative, to have the freedom to move around. Not everyone. And my heart goes out to those that don't. And these young women in Iran right now, I mean, we could talk for a whole episode about that. But those of us who do have that privilege of being able to have our creative work go out in the world, there's never been a time like this for us. So it's very powerful,
Yeah, I got all kinds of
exciting.
goosebumps with that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I love that. Nancy, do you have anything? I don't want to skip over you.
I know. I just one quick question I have.
Yeah.
Does this naturally record itself?
I think so. Does it say? Yeah,
It's
it says.
StreamYard, so you should have a file, I think. I use StreamYard
Does
too.
it? Okay. I mean, it has a number on there with the live, and because I'm not familiar with it, I know our blessed Rhonda takes care of so much,
Rhonda.
and I just thought, should I ask? And I'm looking all over the place to see if something is recorded,
Yeah.
and I'm
You
guessing
know
that
what?
means
I
it.
think you should be fine because I use StreamYard too in my own work, and I always have a file in the program. And then also,
Yeah,
if you're broadcasting on YouTube, I think that stays on YouTube too as
Okay,
the
yeah.
recording.
okay.
So
I
I
just
think
wanted
I
to check
totally get
in
it though with the
because
tech
we're
thing.
covering some really good stuff, and I want to make
Yeah.
sure we
Oh,
keep it.
It's when you set it up. Like I could set up a meeting to just be in my room, and then that's like I do a lot of my Akashic readings there, and that's my room, and we don't go live or nothing. But when
yeah.
you set it up
Oh,
to be live, you already pick the places it's going to go, and you pick the
Yes.
time. So it's kind of
it
fun
does.
and does it all
Okay.
for you.
I just
So
wanted to check it and make sure we recovered. All right.
sure,
And you
Yeah.
know what? If it doesn't, we'll just do it again, right?
That's what, and
yeah,
that's
yeah, I
okay
would love
too,
that.
because we're
That'll be
covering a whole
fun.
bunch of new stuff. Yeah. I'm just so fascinated to hear about so many levels. So when you started with the gene keys,
Yeah.
when did you begin that and decide
You know,
just that was your thing? That was really hitting home.
yeah. I was very resistant, and some of my people will laugh at me because they know this, but I was very resistant to it because I had already had so many things on my plate, so many studies, so many, you know how it is, right? And I just had, like you, I'd been hearing about it. I had friends that were deep diving into it. And I will say, you know, I'm very honored to be here representing it because I am pretty new to it compared to some. About a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in there. And some people have been doing this for years. You know, Richard Rudd really started bringing it out, the author, receiver of the transmission, probably around 2009, 10 is when it really
Wow.
started getting out. Still
Okay.
small, then now it's really kind of picking up momentum. We just talked about, you know, timing earlier.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
this is a time capsule
yeah.
too of
And I
wisdom.
feel like it is, it's a time capsule. And I feel like when I first was hearing about it, it was months went by and I was like, oh, there's so much to it. I've got so much already I'm doing. I don't know if I can. And then as soon as I said yes and started to go down the path, I just became completely consumed. I could not do anything else. It was hours. I would just for hours per day. And actually a little contrary to Richard Rudd's recommendation, because he always says to take your time and go slow and let it live through you and pause and contemplate. And that's just not my nature. So
I
I
agree.
kind of
Yeah.
went the other direction and I just could not get enough of it. And I'm really good at self-directing my study. And that's the thing about the Gene Keys too. It really is a self-directed journey. Even with a guide, you have to live it yourself. And so I just had several months where it was like there was nothing else but that. And it was an incredible time of catalyzation and acceleration and epiphany. And
Oh,
I
heck yeah.
knew it wasn't really very far into it that I knew that this was the work that I needed to be bringing to my clients. My work had already been evolving towards more of like identity and like belief and all those kind of things. And as soon as this came into my world, I said, this is really what I need to be. It's so powerful. How can I not bring this to people?
Because
So,
the thing of it is, when you do, like if you would do an astrology birth chart, for example, and
Yes.
that would
Yes.
lay out their information. So
Yes.
when someone comes to you for a gene key reading, how does that work?
Yeah.
How,
Oh,
how,
that's such a good question. Thank you for that. And I really do think there is a big distinction. And actually, just for the record, you know, I've been an amateur. I say amateur because I don't do it professionally, but I've been an amateur astrologer for 30 years. Like it's been a guide for me since, you know, early way on. And I always like to know what's going on. I have about 4 or 5 people I listen to at all times, so I know what the weather is, and I'm always looking and seeing where that's affecting me. And you know, I'm sure same for you ladies.
Mhm.
And so thank goodness, because that's great background for this work. But there's a very important distinction, and I know Richard Rudd would appreciate this recognition of this, which is that in a reading such as you're describing, it's really the scholar who's sharing what they're seeing about the information in the chart and saying, well, this is what's going on here. And it's still a divinatory symbolic language. It's not specific, but they're still sharing, they're telling, right? Whereas with this work, I'm a guide, and it's very important that I don't get in the way of my client's lived experience. It's very important that I do more listening than talking. It's very important that I do more supporting than telling.
oh, wow.
This is an individual
Sure.
solo journey. And Richard even talks about he was very resistant to the idea of even having guides of any type, or, you know, people who did readings, because he wanted everybody to do this as their own journey. But he realized that people were hungry for that. And you know, my perspective is not everyone is going to get into this on their own, but it's so powerful. So I see myself as a conduit or a bridge to the information to help ease someone's entry into it and to support their journey and to guide them literally and say, okay, here's where we're going to start. Now I want you to, and I just, for instance, started this group in this 8-week program that is, when I was posting about that, I think that's maybe how you found me. But
Yeah.
and so the whole first thing is just really from my work prior, I'm holding them in the highest vision of intention for them connecting to their highest journey for, I'm getting chills right now talking about this, because it's really about love, you guys. I mean, I don't necessarily say that, but
What is
it's
it?
just, I'm holding them in the field of love for their journey. And that's my job, is to be in my best place so I can hold that frequency for them. And then I'm pointing them and sharing with them, okay, let's start here. And here's where a good place for you to start is to, let's look at one sphere at a time in your chart, and give you enough knowledge so you know kind of what's going on here in the mechanics of it. But here is your key that's in this sphere, and this is what this sphere is about. And then to really give them the pillars of the Gene Key approach, which are contemplation, inquiry, gentleness, and patience. So beautiful, right? And
Wow.
then to help them to have their own contemplation. So the first assignment is listen to the audio of your Gene Key in that sphere. Read the entry if you have, if you have the book. This is a great book for anybody who wants to get into their keys, and just go slow, one at a time. Let it pull you in, and then I help them to sharpen their senses to be aware of how the lived experience is going to serve that up to them. Just like you described to me, Teresa, before we got on. The second you say yes to this work and you start engaging with it, you're going to see it in your life. You're going to see a person who shows up with that quality. You're going to have an event that shows you that quality, and you're going to connect a dot, and you're going to just be like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
And within the Gene Keys, as you might have seen, each archetype, so there's 64 archetypes. You have one of 64 in each one of these spheres that describe a certain area of life, life's work or purpose, or any of these kind of different things. Some are more esoteric than others. And you're going to have within that Gene Key that's personalized to you, you're going to have a shadow frequency, a gift frequency, and a city, an elevated frequency. And you're going to see those things reflected to you. So my job is to be this container of saying, well, what did you see? What did you find out? And it's the best job in the world, you guys.
Oh my God.
So
Oh my
cool.
God. So cool.
And I get to hear these incredible stories and say, oh my gosh, that totally is. And then what about this? And then they go, oh my gosh, you're right. Like we just have these incredible conversations. And the thing I'll end with this sharing of this, just answering your question here, is that the beauty of this, and this connects to all wisdom traditions and just the essence of being human, is that the gift is in the shadow. That is one of the tenets of Gene Keys. And so as we allow, embrace, and accept our shadow, we transmute it into that creative gift frequency. And that's the magic right there. So I'm just helping people do that.
That's just, man,
Oh, I
this
love
is,
it.
I can see why so many get so excited when they say yes and begin this journey.
Yeah. Well, and where else do you have a map given to you that says, here's the shadows you might want to contemplate. Here's the gifts you get to work with in this life. And guess what? Here's your highest self on paper, your divine essence, this city frequencies of all these archetypes. What a message of hope that is. We all have shadows, and we all have this divine frequencies, and we're all completely unique in what we're bringing. I mean, come on. Like,
Amazing.
Oh, that's everything. So what is a perfect client like looking for when they come to you? I mean, can people come to you like, oh, my child was just born, can you do a chart, or what? I mean, what's it
I've never
like?
even thought about that, Teresa. That's really lovely. Although it's funny, it's a little side note. We always say, I really respect the work of one of my astrology teachers. Maybe you've heard of him, Adam Ellenboss. He's really amazing. I'm sure some of your listeners know his work. He's on YouTube, and I just give him credit because I've learned so much from him. But he has 2 young children, and he talks about that there's a thing with children where you almost don't want to look at those things with them. You kind of want to let them be who they are. So I've done that with my kids a little bit, but then I still peek,
Yeah.
But really the ideal client is whoever feels called to it. But I think it's going to be most likely that person who has that burning curiosity, who has that restlessness that we all know. We've all lived that pushes us to seek that greater meaning. It's that person who understands that, and this work too, it's dense, right? It's words are codes, and there's a lot of words in here.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that's why I'm really well suited to that, to sort of be that bridge, because I love words. I have exalted Mercury, so like that's my home place. And so but that's one thing I can help some people probably get into the work and benefit from it who might not otherwise. But it's still going to be that person who is very curious and who's already moving in the higher realms to some extent. They're already on their path. And also they're not looking necessarily for a quick fix.
That's
Seeking
it.
is,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I keep hearing in my head.
yeah,
That it's
yeah,
Yeah.
not that 3-card reading that's
yeah.
the answer, that it's these deeper understandings
It's a
that
deeper
we're all heading
understanding.
for now, to understand that
Yeah,
it's not a yes or no moment.
that's right.
There's
That's
choice.
right. And
There's
it's a journey, right? And it's a
Mm,
life, it's a way of life. And it's like
yes.
once you enter into it, you're not really there. It's something it's going to support you from then on in some regard. It's going to
Yeah.
catalyze. And that's what I see too, is like it's literally that because it's connecting to this ancient knowledge, and it's the 64 archetypes. 64 gene keys are analogous to the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching.
Yeah.
And this is old knowledge. This is old. And as soon as you connect to that, you know this too, you're connecting to these fields that change you on a cellular level. It's not just in the mind, right? It's like your whole energy field is being catalyzed, and it's becoming more multidimensional by entering into that space. So it's that person who is really looking for that expansion. I particularly love working with those who are also they are also helping others with that.
Mm,
That's a really fun person to work with, right? Because already on the path, and just like me, just light up with this. Wow,
Yeah.
you mean I get to have all this extra knowledge? Like, what? That's like amazing. So that's really the person who I think is going to be drawn to it. And to your point, I don't really offer like one-off readings for this work. It just
Right.
I'll do discovery sessions, or I'll do, like, when I do my free online retreats, I'll give away a session that's maybe about the life's work sphere. But that's why I'm trying to figure out, how do I bridge that gap to let people know what this is, because it is a commitment of time and resources. So that's my creative work, is really to take all of my skills. I've been in the coaching world for 10 years. I was a nutritional therapy practitioner, and then I've evolved. I still do a lot of work with that in the longer programs, but my job is, how do I, true Mercury communication fashion, right? How do I convey this work? How do I pull people in? How do I create containers that bridge the gap? Because there are people who are really into this on their own, and they are, let's say, a certain percentage, but there's so many more percentage that could benefit if there is like a little bit of bridge into it. So that's where I've been working to create those programs that are just more of like a taste, and then getting longer. So I have an 8-week and I have an 8-month, and then I have the
okay.
free
Makes
week that I offer a few
Yeah.
times a year, just to be like,
Right.
come in, come sit by the fire. Let's talk about what this is. Let's no strings attached. Come here. Let's get you a transformation so you can feel it, and feel, is this the place you're drawn to? And we talked earlier about that kind of navigation, like joy is your navigation. If you come engage with this work and you feel joy and excitement and inspiration, then it's calling you. You're being called to come receive. And if you're not, no harm, no foul. There's something else that you're here for. So it's very like this humble kind of sharing of what this is, trusting that it's part of that bigger picture, and the people who are meant to be engaging and receiving are going to. And it's not just up to me, right? It's a co-creation.
Wow.
Cool. This is one
Yeah, I know.
question I have for you. It isn't the best picture of it, but to ask it, I'm sure you have better. So
That's
if
great.
I would ask you for,
Oh, I can make you big, Nancy. Put it up, and I think I remember you did this.
Yeah, so this
my
is so
colors.
great. So this is just to let people know. So you can go to genekeys.com. I always point back to the work, right? Go to genekeys.com. You can pull up your free profile, and that's what she's done here. And you get a 3-page gorgeous PDF. You get 1 audio included just to get you going, which would totally get you going. So that first cover, isn't that beautiful? And then if you open that up, then you'll see the,
And this has, because my printing wasn't the best, this has, you can't, I don't know if you can really see the sacred geometry in the background of the layout. So that is like, is this like me? So would that be
so
like
that particular graphic on the cover is a representation of what's called the hologenetic profile, or it's the golden pathway. So it represents the kind of central pathway through the 3 sequences of the golden pathway, which are the activation, the Venus sequence, or the genius sequence, the Venus sequence, and the pearl sequence, which is prosperity. So in that, what you're showing, that representation, it addresses purpose, partnership, and prosperity. And then there's all kinds of other things that have come off of it. But what you're holding is really what I focused my work on, because it's really the core. So if you open that up, though, you'll get your specifics. So the cover is more just the representation.
I'm a very visual person.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, so I know what astrology layout looks like. I know what the human design.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, is this one my thing? And this is where because and I see in the little bits like where it says genus and love and prosperity.
Yes.
And you have again the different layouts which look like what are they, by the way? What are these guys? Am I getting into?
So those are the 3 portions of that golden pathway. So there's 11 spheres, and 3 of them overlap. 3 of them hold position in. And so the genius sequence is the 4 outer ones. And that really talks about your purpose. That's your life's work, your major challenge and your evolution, your radiance and your purpose. And then you move from the bottom into the Venus sequence. And that is some deep work. Oh my goodness. It is some deep work.
Rhonda,
And hi, Rhonda. Can't wait to meet you. The Venus sequence really talks about, and it's very deep, and it goes into childhood patterns. It goes into limiting beliefs. It goes into ways that you interact with others and yourself. And it looks at how you can evolve out of those old patterns into something new. It ultimately is about opening your heart, removing the defenses that were necessary to get you to where you are now, so that you can open your heart to your full creativity. And it actually relates to specific 7-year sequences in your life. 14 to 21, 7 to 14, 0 to 7. And then finally, the moment of birth, the core sphere, which overlaps into the pearl sphere. It becomes the vocation. And it's literally why your soul decided to take a body, your core mission. And it talks about your core wound, right? Coming into a body, and what that is, and how you transmute that shadow and then have that calling to share that with others. And then that goes into the pearl sequence, which is how you ultimately, now that you've opened your heart, how do you share your gifts with the world and have that philanthropic reciprocal prosperity, which is a prosperity where we all prosper. You're giving your gifts and then it returns to you in kind, a reciprocity.
And when does the next 8-week class start?
I know, geez.
Okay. All right.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. So,
now I get
there's well, and I love what you said about the geometry, because he talks about that in the beginning. He just had this transmission of all this incredible complex geometry, and he couldn't even talk about it for years, right? He had to get to the point of being able to really bring it down to ground. So it's you're receiving that on some level as well when you look at it.
Power of Life earrings right before. It was like, no, different earrings. And I was like, okay, that's what I needed today.
Yes. Oh, that's like, so perfect. Great. Yeah. And so you can see, like, even looking at this, even the 8 weeks, I tell them this is warp speed, you guys. Like, this is still, but I want to try to bridge people into it. So for that 8-week program, I'm only working with the prosperity sequence, the top 4 spheres, because I want to show where this is going. I want to paint a picture, and I want to get them a result. I want them to see movement, and I want them to experience that. And especially if I'm working with entrepreneurs or, light workers or spiritual entrepreneurs, I want to help them more fully and quickly, although quickly isn't a word that really applies, but understand who they're working with, why, and what that might look like, and how they can get more clear on it. But then, of course, at the end of that, it's like, well, if you really want to crack this open, we really do need to spend the time to do the whole thing.
Yes.
And that's where I will take 8 months and take people through the entire thing, either in a group, which I'll probably start that group up in the early part of the year, maybe I'm thinking maybe like March-ish, or one-to-one. I can start people anytime, and I'll be opening a few spots for one-to-one for next year if anybody wants to talk about that. And that's, that's like such a commitment of time and energy, and it's a beautiful process. It's incredible, but people have to really know that that's what they want to do. And I have to also connect and feel like it's a good fit for that, because this is the thing. My life's work, just to share with you, my life's work archetype is 59, and it's the gift of intimacy. And so that's where I really shine, is where I can really connect with someone on that deep level and support them through that journey. And so that's an intimate thing, to really get to know somebody else's chart so well that we can almost, like, I can walk with them through it. I'm getting chills right now. I mean, it's like, whew, and it's such an honor. So I'm working to find these different levels to be able to serve people at the level that they feel drawn to do that work, and that interacts and interfaces with my own talents and skills that I bring to it. And I think that everyone who's called to this work and who's called to then guide it, because there are many guides, will bring something different to how they support their people, So if you feel called to this work out there and you're listening, maybe this might be the work that What's that?
January might be a good time to start a new 8-week. Maybe.
Oh, yes. I'll be starting a new 8-week in, I believe in February. In February. And I think I'm actually forming up an idea to do a 4-week Gene Key brand clarity exploration in January for the entrepreneurs. So I'll be sharing more about that. I've really had such a calling to work with those that are in this space. Like, it's almost like, I feel like that's what I've been called to, is to give the people that are helping others the knowledge to be stronger in their work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. See, all that layered
That's so much
support.
fun to talk about it, you guys.
Yeah,
so much fun. And I think it goes without saying that, either of you want to know more about this and have a conversation, obviously let's have a conversation, because I get really interested. So I'd love to share more about that. And anyone who's getting their free profile, I will just tell you, because, there's so much here for you. First of all, you don't need me to do it. It's really ethically important for me to say that. I bring my own gifts, and they stand for what they are. And I trust that the right people will come to me for that, but you don't need me necessarily. It's there for all of us, right? This is there for all of us. It's so much bigger than me. And so you can go to genekeys.com and get that free profile. And there's one audio included there for your life's work. I mean, that can keep you going for a month. And then you can decide if you want to go deeper, and you can get yourself this book, and you can interface with what the offerings that they have through headquarters and all of that. So, I think this is where he talks about this synarchy of this work really being of this time. There is such abundance of knowledge and wisdom, and we're all going to be in our place exactly as we need to be to serve as we need to. And that's really the question that the prosperity sequence asks, which is, what is my highest service to the whole? What is my highest service to the whole? So that's really what this is answering. So how beautiful.
Samantha's asking again. I know you touched on it, but the Gene Keys and the human design.
Yeah. Let me refresh that. So Richard Rudd is the author and receiver of the Gene Keys transmission. He was an advanced student of Ra the author of Human Design. He studied with Ra for many years, so he took that in on a deep level. So there is overlap, and then there is Richard's receiving this whole other piece that has gone, and I think they both of them stand alone in what they do, and they both, and then they overlap at the same time. And Richard talks about this idea of the synthesis, that the gene keys is a synthesis wisdom of many different pieces coming together, because that's the time we're in, right? And all of it is pointing back to this old knowledge that is here for us to help us remove the veils of Maya, of illusion, remember our true nature, and reconnect to our true nature and the true nature of everything, which is love. So so there is absolutely that overlap and that connection. And those who are really familiar with Human Design will see a lot of echoes. They'll see their gates show up in their gene keys profile, but they can stand each wisdom tradition can stand on its own as well. And I almost feel like the gene keys is kind of like to me, I don't know, it's like almost like a more open sort of like, and they both like they both have these incredible benefits, right? They're just a little bit different in different ways. Like the Human Design from, and I'm not a Human Design expert, just full disclosure, but I've done some dipping into it and have gotten some readings from some really great people, and it feels very like energized and specific. And then the gene keys is a little more open, and it's like a kind of like you sort of take it in, and then it starts to come out through your life in different ways. And I'm sure others could speak about that more, but they are absolutely related. And but you can do one or the other or both. You know, it's all great. Yeah.
Fascinating.
I should share that story about the. Should I share the story about the Terme and the Tertons real quick, Teresa? Is this a good time?
Yeah, this
Yes,
is good
I love that
stuff,
because
you
I just
guys.
listened to this. So Richard Rudd is the amazing. I mean, what a perfect person to receive this transmission and share it. And he's just so charismatic and calm and grounding, and just this beautiful person, and just lovely to listen to him speak about it, and very active in sharing it, ongoing, and building this whole synthesis and synarchy of people working, coming together, collaborating, sharing. And he talks about, in this one video that you can find on YouTube on their channel, about Tertons and Terme, which is a Tibetan concept that goes back to the time of Padmasambhava in the 8th century. And I took notes because I'm not an expert on this, but I took notes. And I guess Padmasambhava was kind of like a second Buddha. And so he had this, there was a description of, in his time, this, he was in a multidimensional being who planted these kind of seeds of wisdom throughout the ages of humanity that could be found, even physical ones that maybe a lama would have a dream and they'd go to a hidden valley and find this thing, but also mind termes that are in the causal plane to be received at the right time. And when he read this, came across this, he really had this resonance of like, oh, this could be a great way to describe his experience with the gene keys. And there's also this idea of the Terton is that the person who receives it and then shares it out, but that some of these wisdom traditions have multiple, and he feels that this is one of those who multiple people are meant to take this and share this out. It's big, it's so big, and it's really like this synthesis of knowledge that's been here since the beginning of time for that purpose of helping to remove those veils of Maya and remind us of our true nature and that true nature of everything. So I think it's really great to share that out, because it's really that it's so much bigger than any one of us. And I'm so grateful for Richard Rudd's receiving that and sharing that with us. But it goes so far beyond him, and it's a synthesis of so many things. And way back to, I've had a copy of this particular I Ching since I mean, probably for the last 31 years. I've had one, and it's this knowledge is thousands of years old, and it's all woven into this. So we're really connecting to this ancient wisdom tradition that's been here for so long to just help us. Oops, did I freeze? No. Okay, good. Yeah. But how exciting, to find something that can support us in this way. And so I'm just really honored to be able to be some small part of that. And I'm also just delighted because it's so fun.
Yes.
So fun. It's the
Definitely.
best.
It's
Yeah.
just beautiful. I could see tons of like golden wisdom bursting around you. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
I can't even describe, but there's this, it's golden and lighter sparks all around. And this is you igniting others who are ready to be
yeah.
ignited at that right moment. And that's like a synapses in that person's
Yeah.
life,
Oh, that's beautiful, Teresa. Oh my gosh, thank you. That's what a beautiful
Yeah.
visual. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
it
is
truly feels to me too that those that are drawn forward to the classes and all are ready.
yeah.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think you're going to have people that are just off the street that just learn the astrological signs that are
Yeah.
going to step over and go, oh, now this Gene Key class. So I
Yeah.
think you're going to have people that are, you're going to gather those that are ready. And
That's what I found. I've always been amazed at who shows up, and I've
Mhm.
already seen that. Been working with clients with this for a little over a year now, and I've really seen that to be the case. It's always so magical. And I have to say, I saw that ever since I've been coaching since as a nutritional therapy practitioner. That work went back to, oh gosh, 9 years now, almost 10 years. And that work evolved through so many different levels and ultimately out of the body and into the more I love the koshas because it's such a good description, right? We have the physical, we have and then into the pranayama, the maya, all those things, right? The mental body and the bliss body.
Yeah.
But that work, I was always astounded, and I'm sure anybody out there who works with clients in any regard can relate to this. Like, you're just astounded at who shows up. It's like the perfect person at the perfect moment who's interested in the thing that you're sharing at that moment, or who just needs to hear that thing from you. I mean, it's just what a beautiful, organized kind of clockwork it is. So you're absolutely right, Nancy.
Yeah, I'm really feeling that. We're feeling that strong. That's so beautiful. I'm so I can't wait. I can't wait now to set dates on my calendar.
I bet.
That's
I want to
fantastic.
tell an
Yeah.
experience that I've had recently.
Yes.
Because there's trends. Anybody who works with the clients will see that there's trends of who come to you. And I've done some Akashic readings for these like 12, 15 women who all know each other in various ways.
How
But the thing
amazing.
is I'm reading and it's like no two readings are ever alike, but there's so much similarity. And they're coming from another universe to ours to help at this time. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily that they're doing the work, it's actually they're setting the pace for the children to come through. And they're helping people switch from like 3D to 5D in the business world, is what I'm seeing.
Yes.
And all these
Yes.
people, so I think these are like some of the time capsules that are
Yes.
opening, that are ready. And that's why these ones are coming through at this time, because it was like, what's this phenomenon with these people I'm meeting,
Yeah, you are really onto something, Teresa. I do think that it is the way that business is being transformed and evolved. And also, just like you said, and the children that are coming through. I mean, I think that there's the potential for very rapid. I mean, you guys don't need to hear me say that. You've heard it from lots of other people, but you can feel it, right? You can feel this energy of this catalyzation. I don't know if you, I loved chemistry class back in the day. Are you guys into chemistry at all? I don't know. I always thought I could have been a chemistry major, but I
Alchemy,
just
but I don't know
remember.
about chemistry.
Yeah, well, it's probably, they're cousins,
Similar.
right?
Yeah.
And I just remember in chemistry class in lab, we would work with something called a precipitate. Do you know where you have like a glass of liquid and you put like one drop of something else in there, and then the whole liquid just goes and it turns into something else. And that's kind of feels like where we're at right now, where we're building up into this, and it's just like one little thing, and the whole thing just shifts into a whole different state. And it feels like that there's this kind of like almost like preparation for showtime or, kind of like, we're getting ready, and we're laying all this groundwork, and it's very exciting to feel that energy happening. And I do think that there is this intersection between these worlds that have always been kind of considered alternative, now integrating with the worlds that have been considered conventional, to where there's not going to be, the boundaries will be permeable. And that's when that transmutation will really start to happen. And I always like, everyone talks about the transformation from 3D to 5D, and I've heard so many amazing people talk about that. And what's really stuck with me, and this probably I heard this from somebody, but this idea that it's not really like the world around us changes. It's more like that internal, we start to live from intention instead of living the old tapes, the old programs, right?
Oh, what
And so
freedom.
all of a sudden we live in this creative choice and intention. And I think that's what you're really talking about when you talk about something like the business world starting to change and starting to become more supportive of a harmonious existence for all, hopefully.
Yes,
I love
yes, yes, that's what it is.
I
It's
love that.
beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, I've had a lot of fun today. Did I ask you before if you were going to do a meditation for us or anything, or did I forget?
You didn't. I mean, I certainly, you know what I like to do with my clients? It's very quick and it's lovely. It's not really a
Okay.
meditation, but I like to do 3 box breaths and tapping. Do you guys ever do that?
Oh
It's a way
yeah,
to
let's do
reset your,
it.
it's not quite as lofty, but if we wanted to, we could do
Always
that really
good.
quickly.
Always a good
It's
idea.
I love to do that before a meeting or before a session to bring everybody in, and also smudging. I love smudging. And
Yeah.
I was looking, I think I've misplaced my lighter, but you can smudge with sound too. So I always say, if you only have keys, you can just use your keys and smudge
Oh
with
wow, how
sound,
neat. Right
and
Okay.
just
on.
bring yourself into the present. I'm using earrings that were on my desk. So I like to make things really practical, right? Virgo energy, right? So smudge with sound or whatever you have, and then
Oh,
get your
look what I
feet on
got.
the ground. Oh yeah, do you have something good? I
I
actually
do,
have
I
some
do.
nice
This is
things on the cabinet,
incredible.
but are those the kosher, or what are those?
Those are
Bali
the
seeds.
Those are
Seeds.
beautiful. Oh my gosh, I
really
need to get
cool.
some of those. Amazing.
Yeah. So it really brings in the ancestors, but I still think it'll help.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so listen to that. It already makes me feel like I want to take a deeper breath just hearing that. Ooh, I love the sound. And get your feet on the ground and sit up nice and tall. And then we're going to take 3 box breaths, which is a box, and I'll count it for you. It's in on 4, hold 4, out on 4, hold 4. And you could do this on your own. So just find yourself relaxed and breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll just move right into a very simple tapping sequence. You can do this in your car. There's no words. It just resets your nervous system, and you're just going to start by tapping gently on the top of your head. And you can do this on your own and tap on your forehead, above the eyes, and then do side eyes, under the eyes. I like that one. If you find a place you like, you can hang out there. Under the nose, chin, Next one is my favorite, collarbone. Oh, I always feel so good. Oh, collarbone. And then reach around yourself, give yourself a hug and tap on your side body. And then the last one is the pinky side of your hand, little karate chop. And then we're going to all take a big deep breath and just pause for a moment with our eyes closed. And then take your big breath. Let it out.
Wow.
And then when you're ready, you can come back.
Oh, I love that. I went places, you guys. Did you guys go places?
Tell me where you went, Teresa. I want to know.
You're
I
always
was
going
in a
places.
cave. It's a cave, and it had a fire in it, but somehow there was like a lot of smoke. So it was like too hot in the cave, too cold outside. And you were talking to us, and you were telling us, I think we were bending down, like probably closer to the fire. And you were telling us stuff. It was almost the same, like the breathing and the stuff. And I kept trying to remember, what are we doing? I think that we may have been in a position where we were hiding for the moment. But what we needed to bring
Wow.
out was something that needed to come out. So we just had to be calm for those moments. And then, so that's where I went. I mean, I don't know
That's
anybody else.
amazing. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. That is so cool.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
that
That
was
is so
fun.
cool.
Very nice.
So
Yay.
Very nice
I've
sound.
put your
download.
links in the description, but now
Great.
tell everybody where to get a hold of you and
Yeah.
anything you want to promote right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The best thing you can do is to get into my Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, I know not everybody is. Melinda says any hairy toenails.
Harry, what?
That's cute.
Harry.
So the Facebook group is my private group where I share, go live every Tuesday. I share lots of resources, and that's where I do my free offerings. Probably 4 times a year. We just finished one up called Unlocking Prosperity. So that is www.facebook.com/groups/Radiant Prosperity. You can find me there and just ask to join the group. There'll be a few questions and then I'll let you in. And then I also have a podcast that is you can find on Apple and Spotify that is called Radiance Reclaimed. And that's a great place you can find me. And I share about the Facebook group there as well. If you need to click on an actual link, you can find me there. And then on Instagram, for the grammars out there, I'm at Andrea J. Walker Radiance. So those are the best 3 places to find me. That's where there's the most action.
Okay. And
All
that's
right,
where
that
we'll find
makes
out about the
sense.
classes and everything too.
That's
right?
where I'll share about anything that I'm doing. Yeah. And you can friend me on Facebook just at Andrea J. Walker. I love finding new friends. Friend me. I know not
Right
everybody's on Facebook, so that's why I've been. This last
It's a
one was the first
50-50
one.
right now.
What's that?
It's like it feels like Facebook is like a 50-50 new birth, old birth. It's kind,
Yes.
it needs a good smudging.
It does. And it's great for groups because we can gather. But that's why I started doing my free offerings. I do the meetings on Zoom now during the week. It's one Zoom per day for 5 days. And I did that so that we could be off of that platform for that. I stream onto it, but at least you can get on. Everyone can get on there. So
yeah, that's sweet. Okay.
I love that. Well, thank you. I want to thank you because it was just so lifting and inspiring. All the things that you have in your toolbox. Like,
oh
woo-hoo.
my gosh, it's so amazing to come and talk with you. You have such light here. I'm just so thrilled. I shared with you, I've started listening to your episodes and they're amazing. I mean, there's so much there. Everybody listen to their episodes. You have so many people on there. I can't wait to go and just listen to everybody on there and meet all the amazing people that you talk to. So you're really doing incredible work here.
And they're such good.
Yeah,
5 years.
we're our own little bridge.
5 years.
Right?
It's so
Yeah.
incredible.
That's a lot of gathering.
Wow.
Yeah,
I just
you
think
got to
that's
come
fantastic.
Yes.
back. You have to come back. Be a part of our
Absolutely.
family, you know.
I would love to. I love it here. It's so
I love
great.
that.
Yeah.
All
Can we
right.
do the
So,
questions too?
yeah, I
What's that?
forgot about that. Yeah, ask her the questions, Nancy. You
Okay.
got that.
Oh, I've been
Thank
thinking
you.
about the questions, so
Oh,
I'm glad
good.
you're going to ask me because I've been
Okay.
thinking.
All right.
I
First, we're going to start with what is your favorite crystal to work with right now?
And I went through a few things, but this guy leaped out at me. He's like, "You really have to share me." And I was like, "Okay." And that's this beautiful serpentine.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
Okay.
beautiful.
And it's from Washington
Wow.
State.
Oh,
And just look at that color, right? I mean, so gorgeous. And I love, this is so appropriate for our conversation because serpentine, right? It's like shedding the
Yes.
layers, transformation, and also the heart space with that green. But I love this guy. He sits right by my computer. And I sometimes during, like, when I'm talking, it feels really good to just have him in my hand. So
Oh,
I
God,
feel
I love that.
dragon and frog energy in that
yeah,
for some
which is,
reason very strongly.
that's so cool. I love that. And frog is purification. So that's pretty cool. I
Oh,
like
right.
frog
right.
energy.
That came in real
Yeah.
strong. Beautiful. Okay. And I checked out.
I
with the
remember. It's
Second question.
yeah. Do you want me to ask it? Because I remember.
Yeah. The
You
music
put
one.
sign
The
object
rock and
in
roll
front of me,
question.
I'm out of here.
The song. I love this question. So I've totally been like thinking about it. And so the song that you'd have
Yes.
play when you walk out
Okay.
on stage,
That's
and
right.
there's really two, and I couldn't decide between them. And I thought you'd really think this was cute and funny, which is
Okay.
the first one totally makes sense, right? Happy by Pharrell,
Oh
'cause
my
I'm
God.
happy.
You have no idea how strongly that represents in me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, and
that's
then the second one is dun, 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 Back in Black by AC/DC.
Oh, how cool is that? Yes. Oh, yeah. I love that.
I just it's so funny. I'm a
You
late
grabbed the
bloomer
both of
because
us.
I really only discovered AC/DC last year, and I would play it
Oh.
while I was skiing. And that song when I was skiing is like the best. Like just
That used to be my theme song way back in a long
so
time. I won't
good.
say how long ago.
Yeah. So I was like, I have to share both of those songs with the ladies because I think
That was
thought you'd
beautiful.
appreciate it.
What a great
I love it.
combination. And of
Yeah.
course, the third question is, have you
Yeah.
all right, have you had any recent or ever extra dimensional beings that
Yeah.
you've interacted with?
I love this question, and I cannot wait to go back and hear what everybody else answered to all your other podcasts. And I would say that I feel I have a specific answer, but I also just say like I feel I actually have my gift frequency and my vocation sphere is sensitivity, and my part of my work is to really amplify that. And this I've really felt like the last few years I've just gotten so much more in touch with non-physical realm, like so many beings, and so my guides are very present, and just the natural world. But there's one specific experience. There was a couple winters ago, and I think this must have been kind of an activation. It's come to think of it, it was like a couple months before the gene keys really came into my sphere. And it was right around solstice time for a couple months. I would wake up at like 4 a.m. and very intentionally I would do a deep meditation without getting up, and I would have scolasite and lapis in one hand and then quartz in the other, and very intentionally, like I was somehow new, and I would have this experience where I would just go, like I would feel like my physical body had shifted, and there was like this council. I called them this council. I don't know who they were, but it was like this council. They were kind of over my left, sort of this like little group of beings would kind of show up, and it was like they were teaching me something, and I didn't even really know what they were teaching me. But this happened for like 2 months, and then it kind of stopped. But it was like I will never forget it, because I was like, oh my God, I would tell my friends like the council showed up again. Like
Oh man,
I don't know who they were.
It's in my scalp I'm tingling everywhere from this story.
Yeah, and I thought I should tell you that, because if you can tell me anything about who they were, that would
man.
be cool. But they definitely were showing up, so it was pretty cool.
That's
I'm busy
exciting.
tingling. Teresa's a good sheriff for this.
Well, the energy I'm feeling, which I just been feeling through the whole show, though, so I don't know, I haven't separated the new ones. I'm feeling so much Arcturian energy, and they're like the great grandparents of the human race in a way. You know what I mean? And talking about getting the time capsules going, they had to work with your DNA and everything, so that you were ready to just
that makes sense.
Just flow right into it at the right time. So whether I got it wrong with who it is, because I could almost feel like others do this kind of work, but I still feel that there was definitely an Arcturian overview, something.
That really makes sense. Like there was some sort of preparation happening for the next piece, like because it was this thing, like it was like for 2 months, and then after that, I just kind of stopped, and I haven't really. I've done other things since then, but that was so like very remarkable.
Yeah, so you could step into it, like you're teaching other women to step into it. That was your time.
Yeah.
And just as we were talking about in the beginning, and it starts with the crystals show up.
Yes.
So the crystals rise up to begin the lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
it's so cool.
So see, this is why we have so much fun on the show.
So much fun. And I actually had a little download when I was thinking about talking with you ladies, and I was listening to your episodes in the middle of the night the other night. Like I was thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be so cool? I don't know when or how, but to be all together in physical space, like some sort of like a meeting in like
I would like that.
Asheville area or some sort of a conference or I don't know. I was like, I wonder if they'll ever do that with all their people. Like that would be so cool. I mean, it would be
because
lot,
we've
right?
never met physically. Not
That's
me and
what you
Rhonda, not
said.
me and Nancy and Bex. None of us
that really stuck with me.
I foresee us having like this really cool world tour where we go back to some of the sites and things. And so if we start either in Nashville or Asheville, wherever it happens, we've got to do this. You know, don't you guys feel it?
Yes.
Yeah, so be cool. Sponsors or anybody, just let's
I know,
make
right?
this happen.
Call in the team.
Black Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and
beautiful.
that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that has very, very good possibilities.
Very cool.
Very nice.
And so every week we ask everybody to obviously share this out, because there's people that need to hear this. There's people that are going to be like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So share it out. You can go on YouTube and share it out and like and subscribe. But every week we pick a winner to win our Soul Spa meditation, which is a meditation I downloaded from Mott. The Egyptian goddess Mott. Yeah, it was a crazy thing. But when I first started reading the Akashic records, she kept coming up to me and kept showing me a scene, and I and there's water, there's this, and I couldn't think nothing of it. One day she stopped me. No, just look. And I looked, and then all my questions came out. Well, why is the water there? Why is this? And then all of a sudden, all the answers came, and it ended up being a meditation, a healing meditation for people. And we're going to do more. We'll record more, but that was the one, and Nancy was there way back. And so we're giving it out. And so the winner this week, I picked, and whoever shares it out, and even if you just comment, I picked Susan Long. So Susan,
very cool.
When I figure out what we got to do, I will send this to you, and then you will get to enjoy the beautiful time with Mott.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. Wow.
I'll send it to you too then.
That sounds incredible. Thank you. Hey.
All right. So thank you, everybody. Take care. Be love. If you could be anything, be love. You know, I always do it upside down. There. Be love.
Be love.
So.
You'll see that your life will just dramatically change, and now you're building a life around what really matters to your soul.
We all communicate with nature. It's a part of us.